Well, we have been following new details this morning on missing Malaysian Flight 370. Now, overnight, we learned that search crews are now detecting noises in the southern Indian Ocean.
Seth Young is the director of Ohio State's Center for Aviation Studies. Seth, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. All right, so now they're saying three sounds, a ping and some kind of acoustic noise. What does it all mean?
It's encouraging. It's an encouraging lead. The Chinese have heard this ping twice already, and the Australians are now hearing a separate noise. At least they're in the same area, so it seems like this is a lead that they're really emphasizing the search at now.
But it's a big ocean, and it's a noisy ocean. Could this be something totally unrelated?
It's definitely something man-made. And, schools of fish don't ping like this, so. The thing is that these pings could travel long distances under the water, so we're not necessarily sure if this is the exact location. And these also could be false positives. Evidently, these hydrophones can pick up sounds or detect sounds, kind of a false positive way. But to date, this is about the best we're getting. So the idea to focus the area a little bit more on a search here is encouraging.
And now that there's, more than one ship that's actually heard this,
yeah,
that's got to be, very encouraging.
It is. From what I gather, the Chinese are measuring from a surface level, so they will get a ping from a different depth than the Australian boats that are doing what's called a tow. So the hydrometer is a little bit deeper. So that's going to give a little bit of discrepancy up to exactly where this location of this ping is. But it's focusing the area a little bit more.
The battery for the black box has a 30-day warranty pretty much.
Yeah.
Tomorrow marks day 30. Is it over if we don't find this thing in the next 48 hours?
No, I don't think so. It's sort of like the battery in your cell phone. It'll slowly fade after time, and you will get weaker and weaker ping. But, sometimes you're lucky and your cell phone lasts longer than you think, so we may have a couple more days. Now that we're focused in this area, while the ping may get less and less strong, at least we're in the area where we can start to do more sonar searching and aerial searching for any possible debris.
But the information still it's good, even though the battery may be dead in the black box.
Yeah, so the black box will still be functioning, right? So whatever's recorded will still be there. One of the challenges is whether or not there's any data on there to begin with, and that will only happen, we'll only find that out when we get there.
Once we find it.
Seth Young.
All right.
Seth, thanks so much for coming in this morning. Always good insight.
Really appreciate it.
We certainly do appreciate it. This morning we are learning new details about the search for missing Malaysian Flight 370. Now, search crews are detecting pings in the southern Indian Ocean.
Seth Young is the director of Ohio State's Center for Aviation Studies. Seth, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. So, three pings? Well, they said two pings and an acoustic sound.
Yeah,
is that the same thing?
It may be.
Okay.
The Chinese vessel that's out there doing surface sound testing are hearing these two pings. They've heard them twice over multiple days, and that's encouraging that they see something at the source. And then an Australian vessel has a tow underwater microphone that is hearing what they're calling an acoustic sound in the same vicinity. So encouraging.
But this is a noisy ocean. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the black box.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's the black box. It's more encouraging in that it is a it's a transmission of some piece of man-made equipment. The thing about underwater is that sound travels quite a long distance. So we may be in the vicinity, or this may be a small sound traveling a long way.
So it doesn't mean, which is, I guess, why it's still so difficult to find the black box.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a very deep ocean with very rugged terrain underneath. So a sound may have pinged from a transmission box, but also through underwater mountains, for example.
And the next 24, 48 hours, pretty critical because the battery life runs out after 30 days. Tomorrow marks day 30.
Yeah, so these are analog batteries in these black boxes, and what happens is the integrity and the strength of the battery fades over time. So the signal gets weaker and weaker. Doesn't necessarily mean it turns off after 30 days, but approximately 30 days after it's charged before a flight. It does get weaker and may fade. Again, it's encouraging that it's underwater, that a weaker signal will actually travel farther. So we may have a couple more days to play with that.
And when you said that they charge the battery, so is it normally fully charged then?
Yeah. So the black boxes, as well as anything else in the aircraft, are charged just sort of like your car would do. The engine power will charge up all the electronic equipment in the airplane.
Overnight, they reviewed the radar and they said it now looks like the plane avoided Indonesia Some say that might be because they were trying to avoid radar detection. Possibility?
It might be. You know, I think we've all looked at the fact that there may have been deliberate course changes. My hypothesis is that they made a turn back to a place where they might be able to make a safe landing after some sort of emergency. So I took a look at the map, and that northern part of Indonesia does have some landing facilities that they may have attempted to reach. But then again, think about it, it's the dark of night, their electronics may have gone out, and they may have very well pulled out paper maps to say, let's try to avoid some of the mountainous region in that area and try to find a safe place to land, which took them around Indonesia itself. Yeah.
Well, and you know, we were talking during the break, you know, looking for black boxes. You were just saying, you know, this could really take a long time. I mean, it's not uncommon. It's
not uncommon. You know, it's this is a pretty rare event that an aircraft crashes in a remote ocean. But once we do have an aircraft that disappears, it could take a very long time to find the critical pieces of that aircraft. You know, we haven't even found a trace of debris yet, let alone a black box.
Yeah, if it crashed into the ocean 30 days later, shouldn't we see some sign of debris?
You know, it depends on how that aircraft may have impacted the water. If this was an in-flight explosion that broke apart the airplane, we would see a lot more potential for scattered debris over a larger area. If the airplane made a relatively gentle landing into the water for whatever reason, the entire airplane may be intact and sunk underwater, and there may be less debris on the surface.
All right. You know, for all those conspiracy theorists out there, you know, could the plane be someplace else?
I have not seen any evidence to that.
Okay.
You know, and there hasn't been any evidence of planning a malicious event. No suicide notes, no terrorist organizations claiming any responsibility for this. No side chatter, you know, nothing to point to any malicious activity that the airplane is in some place being retrofitted. I just haven't heard it.
Seth Young. Seth, thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate your insight.